Well, I have to admit, I am excited. There is a new Severin sale coming, and I really do like Severin. Yes, through the magic of animation, I have chosen to have a nice chilly background because I wish it was much chillier right now. It's kind of hot here in Morocco, but in animation land, I'm walking in a chilly evening. David Gregory is probably the name that is most synonymous with Severin films. I'd say at this point, you'd probably say Kayla Janice as well, among others, Andrew. And when it started, of course, there was Carl Draft, David Gregory, and John Cregan. That was back in 2006. Severin has been around for 18 years. So in a couple of years, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. So I thought today what we do is we look at Severin through some of the releases that I picked up. There's some of my favorites, a Severin through slipcovers. Here we go. So with YouTube, they say that, same as with TikTok and all them, animals definitely are attention catchers. So with that being said, let's hit the intro. Well, there's special thanks to Animated A and Collector Cat. There's a point in time for most collectors that you can look back on, especially with something that means a lot to you, that you know when you've started to collect something, whether it's your first Arrow video release and that you picked up, you've got a region-free DVD player and you're finally picking up stuff from other regions. There's a release that hits you and you're like, yeah, that's a company that I know that kind of gets me. So with Severin, I had been following mostly, I've been like a really diehard Vinegar Syndrome at that point for a long period of time. And I did like Severin, I had some of their releases, but they weren't on the radar as much, which was unusual, especially considering what was on their, what the releases they had were. See, Severin as a company probably speaks to me more than almost any other company. I'll explain that. But the first release, the one that stood out in this slipcover, because today what we're doing is we're talking Severin through slips, through my slipcover collection. And this, it's not everything here, it's just the ones that I brought up, is that I decided to show you guys and like give you a history of like my collecting with Severin through the slipcover releases. That way you can idea some of their slipcovers as well. But this one here stood out. My dad is a massive movie fan, much like myself, and you've seen him on the channel, especially if you're a patron. A massive shout out to my patrons out there. You keep the lights on. This is one they told me about, and he used to tell me about this one all the time. It was a movie that had Jack the Ripper in it. It was black and white, but it had this one scene that was color. And he'd seen it in theater, and it really stood out to him. So Severin announced it. Not only did they announce it, but they announced they were putting it out with this amazing slip. And I knew I had to have it. But not just that, I knew I had to get a copy for my dad as well. So any other sale that was on at that time took a backseat to the Severin sale. And I ended up going all in on that sale. And I was glad I did because it really hooked me on their releases. This is the slip right here. And this is the film. It's Jack the Ripper. It is an excellent film. You haven't seen it. One, this is super cool. Two, this had an exclusive bonus disc on it at the time that had the European version, which for those, it's a lot more nudity in the European version as opposed to the regular UK release. So this one has the UK, US, and European releases of the film on here. Even when you take it off, it has this amazing slip right here, amazing insert right there, and it's a gorgeous one. It stood out. There's the DVD and the Blu-ray. I still love when I find a company that aren't just like going like single like Blu-ray releases. I still think the DVD release put in there is important. So I always think that's a plus. Jack the Ripper was the one that started me on Severin. So what I thought I'd do is I'm going to go through my some of my Severin slips here and maybe give an idea of some of the stuff that I like, as well as give an idea of some of the stuff that Severin themselves like and that they promote. So David Gregory is the head of Severin. He's the name that you most hear when talking about the company. David Gregory made it his mission to try and get out as many video nasties as possible. He would have loved to have had Severin release every video nasty that's out there in the best possible release. Now, video nasties, I love the history of them, and I have the Severin. It's down there, the documentary, the two-part documentary that came out, the video nasty documentary. Those sets, they're gorgeous. We'll talk about them in another video because this is the Severin slipcover video. But here's an example of one of the slips, and it's different because one of the slips, one of the films. The thing here is it's got Barry Prima. And for those that are familiar with Barry Prima and are familiar with the most recent Mon Macabre announcement, as of the time of this taping, there's a Barry Prima set coming out from them. But this is different because this is not Barry Prima playing Jacka, the action star that he plays. This is Barry Prima in a movie called Primrose. Now, these style of films, the cannibal films, are not usually my bag. They're not my type. But this came along with another film that I wanted, and they did a bundle. Severin is famous for their bundles. And you see, when Severin put out Primrose, he also put out this now infamous and very highly out of print and often highly sought after Severin slipcover. See, Severin is famous or infamous for putting out the alternate slips. Like in other countries, films get released and to kind of utilize, what's the word I'm looking for here? To really like to play off of, like popular films. Maybe they're pretending to be like sequels to, or just pretending to have sort of a similar style to. They'll really try to play up. Okay, if you liked this film, here you got to watch this. So this is Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws. Of course, this has really nothing to do with the Jaws series of films, except the fact that there is a killer shark. Now that being said, this is a ton of fun. When I bought this in Primitives, this came with a book, an actual novelization that was made, a brand new novelization that was made for Cruel Jaws. It's actually pretty damn good, pretty damn sleazy because it's Cruel Jaws. It's an Italian knockout film. But you can only get this for like a very short period of time, and then you'd go back to just the Cruel Jaws, which is okay. But they had a few like this. This is the one that I really went in on because for those that don't know, my better half is a marine biologist, and she loves the aquatic horror films. So there you go. Jaws 5 is one that we had to get. Severin is often known for their Jess Franco releases. They put out some of the best and brightest and the most wonderfully sleaziest of Jess Franco's releases, but some of the most important too. I would have to say that as far as the important Jess Francos go, and for me as a Franco aficionado, I have a very strong affinity to Jess Franco in the 80s. It was a time when he didn't have as much money, and he was making a lot of films with what he could, but often in cases like that, your hands are more tied. When you're starting to feel more frustrated, your films begin to get a bit more personal. They begin to, like, life and art kind of bleeds into one another, and that was the case with Franco a lot. Now there are some ones, and I don't think I have like a lot of them right here right now, but I did want to show you one of the Franco slips anyway. And this one here is Shining Sex. This is definitely from the 80s era. It has, of course, the beautiful Lena Romay, who was, of course, Franco's muse and partner. So after she passed and Franco passed, and you knew what was going to happen, sadly. Shining Sex is a great release. The inner artwork is fantastic as well. But some wonderful features on there. Always good Stephen Thrower stuff on here. And one of the nicest things about this is it came with the In the Land of Franco Volume 1 CD. So it was a 2 disc CD set, and when you bought this release and you bought another Franco release, you got both of the CDs, and it had music that Daniel J. White had composed for Franco's films. So it's really great to get those together. I might do more Franco focus video. Killer Crocodile and Killer Crocodile 2. Again, so much fun. I utterly adored both of these here. This is a set. They're not stuck on one disc. Don't worry. They each get their own disc right here. And I know 88 Films put out like a fancier hardbox edition, but honestly, for saving space, I'll talk about a little bit at the end of the video, by the way. I think that this is a more kind of a fun, economical way to have it on your shelf. During sales, Severin has had several times a damage sale where they'll take damaged like slipcases, damaged sets, and they'll put them out for extremely cheaper than you get normally. By the way, stay tuned in the video if you want me to explain why the background's like this. And this is Gwendolyn. This is one of the damaged releases that I got from Severin for less than half the price. And if you're wondering where the damage is, so was I. But apparently, if you look really, really close, it's a bit like fold-ish. Not right there. It's really not noticeable. But again, rest in peace, Tana Katane. But Perils of Gwendolyn and the Land of the Yik Yak came, and it came with everything. I mean, this thing here had a bunch of postcards with it. So all the gotta make sure once I can show you actually. All the postcards were included here as well. Well, that'll be the one I show you. But this is a great one. If it's still available, I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's not like cheesy fun. Severin is also known for putting together really great special features on their releases. They don't always have to be the biggest amount of special features, but they have to be the most well put together and well thought out ones. Skinner is a case of exactly that. See, Skinner was a fantastic Ted Raimi film with Ricky Lake and Tracy Lords, and just a really good film. Now, this is done by Abed Nagy. So Abed Nagy is, well, was the boyfriend of the famous Hollywood madam, Hattie Fleiss. And this came out around the same time that the Hattie Fleiss scandal did. What's really fascinating about this, other than it's a really great film, is the special features beyond here. We talked to Ted Raimi, we talked to Abed Nagy, and we talked to the guy that like kind of edited the film together. Each one has their own unique take on the making of this film and the infamy. So I really do recommend this one. Severin also is famous for their raunchier covers that they put out. Now, before the Emmanuel set came out, which I do recommend if you like the Black Emmanuel films. If you don't, then I don't recommend it. But if you do like the Black Emmanuel films, it's an utterly fantastic, thoroughly comprehensive set that I enjoy, and I'm getting through right now. I'm actually going to be reviewing it in the future. But if you wanted to check one out, the Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals. Remember I told you I wasn't a cannibal fan? Well, I'm a fan of this one. I like this one right here. It's a great one. And this release here, of course, has like the infamous nude slipcover. So that's why I had to kind of cover it right there. Because although you're probably watching this, you're a patron, like a little bit early on the Crimson channel, we will be going through this again. And I want to make sure that everybody can see this. In case your kids walk by, I'm protecting you. It's a great film, though, in the Emmanuel series. And it deals heavily into the fact that, like, where she's a reporter, she's going on missions. Of course, her husband's end as always. Wax Mask was meant to have probably been it was going to be a film for Fulci. Sadly, Fulci passed away before he got a chance to make it. So Argento got his, basically the Tom Savini of Italy, Sergio Stevoletti, in to direct his first film. And some people rag on this film, and I really think that those people are 100% wrong. because this is an utterly fantastic film. The features on here are great, and one of them, well, we'll just say I had something in my eye when I was watching it. Being Canadian, this film was something that showed on TV a lot when I was younger. So I was at Sunrise Records, and I saw this here. This was when they were just starting out. So they did not yet have a boutique label section like they do now when you go to Sunrise Records. There was a box, and it was behind the counter, and they were still waiting to get things out. So you went up and you said, "Hey, do you have the boutique labels?" And they take this box out, and you'd skim through it. And so I'm there, and this comes up, and this is a change. Now they have a 4K. I don't know if I have to. This is a fantastic release. I don't think I've got to upgrade to the 4K. This includes the soundtrack as well, the CD soundtrack, and I do collect soundtracks. Severin is also very famous for including soundtracks with a lot of their releases. So if you're a soundtrack person, if you're an audiophile like I am, then getting these releases are going to be some massively incredible things for you. The Changing is a wonderful ghost story, just starring George C. Scott, and of course has a Trish, his wife, in there as well. I always get the name wrong. I want to make sure I'm wrong. Trish Van Devere. And I had the great Melvin Douglas too. All right, and sometimes they're just wildly fun, unusual films. You guys know I'm a cat lover. So this movie was not made for cat lovers though, but it's a fun anthology film. And that is The Uncanny. It's a weird cover for this movie actually. But I do love this film. Like Peter Cushing plays this hater of cats. But is he wrong? Like who else is in this film? It's an anthology, it's a portmanteau. We have Peter Cushing, Ray Milland, Donald Pleasance, Samantha Eggar, Susan Penhogan, Alexandra Stewart. There's a ton of people in this one here, just so many, and it's an underrated one when it comes to this style of film. People always talk about the other Amicus films. We'll talk about Amicus films. We'll talk about some of the Tales from the Crypt, the creep shows, but people rarely mention The Uncanny when they're talking on their list. All right, another one I got to cover up a bit. Massacre in Dinosaur Valley is one that I thought was going to be a standard, cannibal-esque type film. Instead, it's this fun, rip-roaring adventure movie, and it's really good. It's one that I didn't know I was going to like as much as I liked. It came out at the same time. It was with Primitives and Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws. So I'm like, okay, I'm not sure about these two films, but I put on Massacre on Dinosaur Valley. It was the first one I watched. I actually watched it before Cruel Jaws. And I'm like, this is really, really fun. Like they say, it's a mix between Romancing the Stone and Cannibal Ferox, which is not totally off, actually. Okay. This is a very important release for Vinegar Syndrome. This is Blood on Satan's Claw. It is one of the most famous folk horror films out there, alongside of course, the most famous, The Wicker Man. Blood on Satan's Claw is important because the most important box set Vinegar Syndrome ever put out, and one of the most impressive box sets any company's ever put out, came from this. See, Kayla Janice was tasked to make a featurette on folk horror for this here release. So she started to do this featurette on folk horror, get it together, started interviewing people, editing things together, and it became this massive endeavor. It set her down this rabbit hole that would end up having her go to Dave Gregory and say, I think there's more to this than just a featurette. Dave Gregory was smart enough to say, you know what, run with it. I trust your gut. Because of that, the Hall that Haunts the Hours documentary, the award-winning documentary, the festival touring documentary, turned out one of the most amazing box sets that any company has ever released. The All that Haunts the Hours box set, and it'll be discussed more in the box set portion of the Severin, because we're going to do a few Severin videos this week. But this is an utterly fantastic one. You can usually find the slip. It's usually slips out of print, but usually I manage to conjure up some during the sales. So if you want it with the slip, and I do like the slip, then get it during the sale. Like I said, they love the fun stuff. They love to have some of the Italian titles, the Cruel Jaws and stuff like that. They have a few of those, sequels, fake sequels. And here you go with another one. Patrick Still Lives. Patrick is, of course, a classic Australian film. Patrick Still Lives is a sleazy Italian knockoff film that's pretending to be a sequel to Patrick. It's not, but it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. The cast is fantastic, and it is now just no going in. It is Italian. It is so freaking sleazy. I'm not like this is what they did for the look. Here's a poster. That's what they are. Was this not shamelessly pretending to be a Patrick sequel? It so was. But with that being said, it is such a fun film. I really enjoyed the hell out of this film. And I had to end off by showing this one. I wanted to leave this one last for a reason. Let's just say you picked up the Emmanuel set. Well, there is one film Emmanuel released that is not included in that set because it's not a part of the Black Emmanuel series. Not even adjacently. See, there's the French Emmanuel series that is probably the most popular, the ones that most people have seen. There's the Black Emmanuel series, and of course there's that Showcase, Showtime, the TV softcore Emmanuel stuff that we've seen. But Italy had their own series of Emmanuel films, and they were the biggest difference in them was there was an N taken out on the name, so that you wouldn't get say, oh, you're ripping off Emmanuel. But the films rarely had anything to do with one another. But they were mostly fantastic films. And the best of them is, in my opinion, Emmanuel and Francois. It is a great one, starring the wonderful George Eastman. And as Lee, he's a such a dick in this film. But it is a great film, and directed by John Amato, co-written by Bruno Mattei. There you go. Severin In Slipcovers. Through these slipcovers, you should have gotten a good feel of what Severin puts out and what some of their releases are and some of their side releases, some of the other ones that we can talk about. So I'll be doing a live soon where we'll be talking about the Severin releases and talking about the sale. I want to get everybody prepared before it comes. So what time exactly is that Severin sale? Well, there. So for those that stayed, this is the second room upstairs where I do a lot of my watching. When I'm not watching films downstairs, I'll usually come up here to watch, especially if I'm doing a review, taking notes, that type of thing. So because I want to, I'll come in here, I'll put in my headphones, I'll got a smaller TV right there, it's a 43-inch for this room because it's a smaller room. So what we're doing right now is in the next little while, we'll be taking that TV that I got right there, mounting it onto the wall, and we'll be putting in shelving all along here. So if you've seen me do videos here before, and I've had like my wife's like kind of like dresses, like dress gown, like her dresses or summer dresses have been here. So that's been moved out into a different area, and there is going to be shelving around here, and we're going to set it up. I'm going to put some posters up. I'm going to like frame some of my posters and put them up as well. And kind of this was when I do like a pre-tape, and even when I do some lives, I'm going to have like a nice kind of media movie area to do it in. It's going to take a bit, but we're working on that now. And for those that stayed afterwards to or stay for the entire video and just wait till after that sequence, there you go. And when this is done, it should be a lot of fun. See you soon. And again, I want to thank you so much to my patrons that came in and keep these lights going. I want to thank you. You guys rock. You guys keep this channel going. If you weren't here, I don't know if I'd still be able to be here. I do want to thank everybody that's been following the channel throughout the years, and we've tried to make it more of a cult cinema international, and move towards in a direction of like being able to show films and be able to show different releases from different areas, different places. Because I have I'm lucky enough to be able to check out different places and see different things where it doesn't just have to be Severin, or it doesn't have to be Vinegar Syndrome, it doesn't have to be Arrow, it doesn't have to be Shout Factory, Scream Factory release. I can go to a place like I did before, like Paris, and there's other like countries around me that have their own cult labels that I want to be able to discover and look into and show you guys, so that you guys just get to see all the options that are out there. Because often we get into an echo chamber of like, okay, I know what's within my perimeter, or what I've seen on like one or two YouTubers, but there may be something out there that's fantastic that you've been just wanting to get, that just may not be on your radar yet. And hopefully I can help put that on your radar. See you soon.